Ori and the Will of the Wisps best level? I'm kind of interested. I love this Game Maker's Toolkit. Let's try it and see if it's good.
In this episode, I'm talking to Chris McEntee, who was a level designer on the Rayman games before becoming lead designer on Ori and the Will of the Wisps. For this video, we picked an area from Ori called the Windswept Wastes. Chris was kind enough to share concept art, sketches, prototypes, and other behind-the-scenes goodies.
It was very much mechanics focused at first. When I first joined the team, one of my first tasks as a level designer was to come up with some interesting level design situations using these platforms that collapse when you stand on them.
Hey, look, it's Celeste. Bro, I literally am resident sleep as I look at this. Sorry, but the game does not look good on stream. Holy shit. Bam! Pow!
And just playing with all kinds of different, just on paper, really, what would be interesting ways to use this gameplay element. And then I just create as many unique scenarios that I can. I think you actually made a video about it, about, workshopping and Mario Maker. The way that you sort of create interesting situations, you take the elements and you try to make interesting combinations of different things and ways of...
so many, legitimately so many of the biggest games now came from unpaid fans messing around in level editors for StarCraft, Warcraft, or mods for, Arma and everything. All of the great game modes that are played right now were not invented by AAA studios. They were basically all built by fans. A MOBA as a genre was invented by fans as a mod for Warcraft. Tower Defense was invented as a mod for StarCraft and Warcraft. Battle Royales was a spinoff of Arma. People just messing around is the best creator of history of game mechanics, more than ever any highly paid studio.
So now in this room, we get the area's main new ability, the burrow. Tell me how that came about.
Came as a result of wanting this burrow ability.
Pretty.
It wasn't because we had a desert environment that we said we want to be able to burrow in sand. It was because we said, what are some cool, unique moves that would complement Ori's already really robust moveset? I think we saw a video from Sonic Colors where there was a cool ability, some kind of weird little guy you collect that makes you dig in these...
They stole it from Sonic. Lawsuit. Easy. Great, wrap it up. You guys are thieves. Sonic invented everything. Your game is property of Sega. Wrap it up. Go to court. Go to jail. I won't tolerate it. It's insane. Once Sonic has done it, it is theirs for life. Will you play this game on stream? Maybe. It looks kind of beautiful. I've known of it, but I never really saw gameplay. It looks pretty fun. Does it have bosses? It has bosses? What, is it just like Hollow Knight? It has bosses, but it's kind of short.
Ori's normal jump.
That's an advantage. You're telling me it has bosses, it has a cool environment, and it's not 400 hours? I could play it in a couple of streams? That's awesome.
It's just one of those things that when you're in the process, you don't immediately see these things. At this point, you can even see that I was using the collapsing platforms, but I wasn't actually, they're not made of sand.
When did you realize that they should be made of sand?
That came later because I created a scenario.
I liked it more than Hollow Knight TVH. I'll have to check this game out.
Lasers. And
everything I'm seeing looks good.
You have to gauge yourself as you land on them, and you have to glide, and you have to wait for the right opportunity to then drop through the laser. So it's a little bit of it's really straightforward.
It seems like you have even more options.
Let's say.
But
then by the time I got to the bottom, I was like, oh, that was cool. Oh, but that's a one-way thing. And for a Metroidvania of all things, that's not acceptable. In a game like Rayman, you could have a level design sequence that basically you touch a trigger, this whole thing collapses and explodes, and if you manage to survive, cool, you can keep going with the level, but you can't go backwards. But in a Metroidvania, if all of a sudden your path backwards is broken, you need to always be able to backtrack, re-explore, retraverse.
Dude, I'm so excited.
What I did was I asked one of the programmers and
actually,
give them
it's fucking going to be so awesome.
So they could disappear.
When I get to boot up and play Silksong on stream, it's going to be fucking sick.
That resulted in me basically being able to create this situation where now you can backtrack just by digging through these platforms. And all of a sudden, it started to make sense.
The player isn't explicitly told where to go next, so how do you trust that the player won't get lost?
That was actually a tricky one. If you pay attention to the environment, there's actually two ways to get back to the main path.
I won't pay attention to the environment, sir, and I will get lost. So what do you say to that? I've checkmated you with my ignorance.
But the bottom line is that all roads kind of lead to the same destination.
Oh, interesting.
So that no matter what, you're going to eventually land on where you have to be.
No, see, this is the problem. When you make the map like this and assume they all lead to the same destination, what I'm going to do is explore every single nook and cranny of all of this with continuous backtracking for 20 hours until I've checked every fucking possible location. And then and only then will I move on.
The whole area is absolutely packed with secrets to find. What's your process for hiding these things?
Oh, there's secrets.
We don't go for the crazy obscure secrets. I think there's, for example, this secret is a perfect example of how we tend to do it, where what you'll see is that there's a little lip when you're out of the secret wall that guides your eye and tells you there might be something behind here. And it's the same
Run
for
into
sort of
every
broken
single wall, checking if it's a secret wall in the entire game. Got it. Understood. If I find even one of these, I will check every single wall for the rest of the game to ensure that I haven't missed a single fucking Jim Bob doohickey that does nothing and doesn't really help me. But I have to make sure that I find it because it glows and I need to have it.
But we decided to not block it off.
I actually feel like I'm getting spoilers. I actually feel like this is good, but I kind of want to play the game now, so I don't. I'm gonna stop listening to it because I feel like it's showing me stuff that I think I would really enjoy. Wait, is there other great videos from this channel? Because I might. Why does Celeste feel so good to play? Really forcing it down our throats, okay? Game Maker's Toolkit. Power of invisible choices. Interesting.
Video game stories are unique because you get to make decisions.
Yeah.
Like, those choices might cause an immediate reaction. Or in some cases, the game might remember your decision and issue some kind of consequence later down the line. Now, these sorts of choices have historically been associated with RPGs, interactive fiction, and whatever we're calling these Telltale-style games. These are games where your primary mode of interaction is to pick options from a menu, like a dialogue tree. But what if your game doesn't have that? What if it's a shooter, or survival horror, or an action game? How do you let players make choices in those sorts of games? Well, one way to do it can be seen in BioShock. This is a first-person shooter, but it features an infamous moral choice. Each time you meet a...
I've always thought BioShock's moral choice was so basic bitch. The game is great. I mean, it's pioneering for its time. It was just one choice over and over, and it was like good or bad. And nothing else seemed to matter, and you made no other choices.
Little sister, you need to decide whether to save her or harvest her lifeblood for magic super juice. And in these moments, the game slows down, takes away your normal controls, and just slaps a big old pair of button prompts on the screen. Press X to harvest, press Y to rescue. One way.
Basically, you've only made the choice once. Nobody's like saving the first 6 little sisters and they're like, you know what, I'll harvest this one. Fuck it. It feels like you make the choice once and then you're just reenacting the same. I mean, it's kind of the same problem Mass Effect and KOTOR have, where it's like there's rewards for being consistently evil or good. So as a player, you're not like thinking through every decision. You just know which one's the evil one or the good one, and then you pick it because you want to like keep your character going in that direction. KOTOR 2 tried to solve it a little bit by making like the middle ground kind of powerful, and you could like just sort of like bounce around, but they didn't really nail it. The power of the centrist Jedi. Waving your hand. Both sides have bad points. After playing the entire trilogy with the same character, I missed out on the final Paragon choice of the game in Mass Effect 3. Only way to save the bad guy, because I had 99 out of 100 Paragon points. That's so fucking whack. Dude, that implies you can't make a good decision unless you've made enough good decisions. If I see a guy get shot, I can't call for help. Unless I've called for help before enough times to be known as a good guy.
In this video, I'm going to share 4 key reasons why you should think about making your choices disappear. Okay, advantage number 1. Invisible choices can make the options ambiguous. So in BioShock Infinite, you're told to throw a ball at an interracial couple. But did you know you can actually throw it at the racist announcer instead? Oh, it says it right there on the screen. That kind of spoiled it, didn't it? That's what happens when your input system demands you list every possible action the player can take.
I mean, it's obviously more fun as the player when they don't show it as an option. Then you just try it and it works and you get something and you get dialogue you didn't think you're going to get. And it's like, oh, that's fucking awesome. They thought of that? That's always sick.
There's a bit in Deus Ex Human Revolution where your pilot Farida is pinned down by enemies. And it is possible to save her, as long as you are able to defeat a bunch of baddies in record time. It's not a moral choice whether she lives or dies, it's a test of your skill. Also, picking immoral and selfish choices from a menu can make you feel pretty icky, But it's even worse when you have to physically carry out those actions yourself.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, yeah, when it's an invisible choice, I almost never will do the evil option in a game. Like, I'll feel weird about it. But when it's a choice where it's like one of two things, I almost always pick the evil option. Like in KOTOR or Mass Effect or anything, I always pick the cartoonishly evil one because it's funny to see what they did. And it's like I feel like I'm missing the more entertaining outcome. I mean, you think about it, like in Fallout, if you do the evil choice, you get to see a fucking nuke go off and blow up a town. And if you do the good choice, it's like, here's 50 caps. Thanks, mister. And it's like, okay. I wanted to see the nuke. The nuke is cool as shit. I legitimately mostly pick the evil one because they'd like do crazy stuff.
Interested devs can find some resources to help with implementing invisible choices in the description for this video. Also, this system doesn't really work for every type of choice. If you're
what? Oh, I thought the description like changed based on how I watched it. I think it said pausing Peter or some shit if I was pausing too much. I was about to be blown. Oh, my mind was about to be blown, dude. I thought it was gonna fucking give me a fucking custom description. I don't know. I don't know how. I was ready to have my mind blown.
The nice thing about explicit choices is that they are explicit about the fact that you're having an impact on the game, but invisible choices can easily be missed altogether. In playtests for Dishonored, Arcane found that some players thought the game was incredibly linear, but only because those players didn't even realize they were making choices. They were too subtle, too organic. Likewise, it's easy to get to the end of Silent Hill 2 and have no understanding that the cutscene you receive is actually the result of some obscure and obtuse actions you've made throughout the game. It's important then, when using invisible choices, to be quite heavy-handed with dialogue and make it crystal clear to players that this is an outcome of their earlier actions.
Like a little chorus, he comes back round. He usually dies, is what I found.
Too subtle, and all your hard work is wasted. So there we have it. Action games don't need to twist themselves into an RPG or a text adventure in order to react, remember, or reflect on the player's choices. These games already have ways for the player to communicate, to express intent.
Bro, my takeaway from this video is that Spec Ops: The Line is the only game that's ever come close to their idea of unintended choices, and every other game has abandoned it basically because it's hard to do. It doesn't make sense. And I think that game didn't do well, so yeah, I can see why devs avoid it. I made a video essay that you can play.
Hey,
I want to play it. Where is it? Platformer Toolkit. Let's check it out.
I'm Mark Brown, and this is the Platformer Toolkit, an interactive game design playground all about platformer character controllers.
Okay.
So I want you to meet Kit.
Hi, Kit.
She's the protagonist of this platformer, and see what you think.
I'm sorry, but come on, keep the politics out of the games, okay? Someone had to say it. I wanted to play a fucking real video game that has, you know, a real story. Okay, fun. Yay! Woo! It's a real challenge. Oh my god, wait, why is there such a slide? This game is too fucking hard, dude.
Okay, this doesn't feel great, right? Kit is really slippery, her jump is floaty, and the whole thing just feels a bit flat.
Yeah, I was
and
just saying
lifeless.
that. This game sucks.
So, let's start tweaking things.
I'll show you that I'm the greatest game designer ever.
Alright, welcome to
Yoink.
the Toolkit.
Skroink.
This
Skroink.
is where we can tweak
Yoink.
Kit's variables to
Skroinky.
change the way she works. So
wait,
here
I
we can
wanted to
change
play with
how
it
the
first.
camera works. We can change
I
the
can
zoom
already
level.
play with it.
A wide view might be good for a very fast character, for example.
So I want like... Now this is a game.
Let's move on to the most critical part of any platformer, the jump.
I'm gonna solve jumping. Whatever I set for jumping, every game developer is gonna copy immediately.
This is the jump panel. This one changes the maximum height of the jump from a short hop to so see how that feels.
Oh, is a jump cut off for your height? No, don't ever cut it off. Woo! That's kind of fun, actually.
Hopefully you found some numbers that...
I'll make it really ugly. I'll call it moon boots, and everyone will fucking praise it. Oh, it's like actually a beautiful indie darling. It actually takes the platformer paradigm and shifts it completely. I love it. Most people don't like it because it's a little too advanced for them.
It's time for the final panel. Let's get juicy.
Juice.
There's some game design wisdom that says if a player does something a lot, make it feel good. And in a platformer, that's running and jumping. So on this panel, you can make various tweaks to the character's presentation, a trail, a tilt, and sound effects. You don't always want to crank each handle to the max. Sometimes a little goes a long way.
Nah, I don't think so. Oh, dude, I've made a great game. Holy moly, look at this game. Dude, just get me in a sound effects booth. Skrank, skrank, skrank. Oh my god, we'll call the game the Skrankler. All right, yeah. Level 1. Oh my god. the fucking speed. Ah, shit. You got double jump? That's a cheat. Oh, falling platformer. Uh-oh. Okay. Wait, he killed me? I feel like this game says it all. Oh, shit. Fuck me, dude. Holy shit, I'm speedrunning. I did it! Wow. I can't believe I made the best platformer in the least amount of time. We sure learned a lot there.